Have any of you YouTubers ever been to England? Well, today we're not going to England, but we are going to Englund. That's right. It's a misspelled name, and honestly, it's not a very good gambit either, but some chess kids love it because they can score some quick victories. So today, got some good news and some bad news. If you're a lover of the Englund Gambit, I'm going to showcase your favorite opening, but the bad news is I'm also going to teach people how to stop it. Now first, what is the Englund Gambit? Well, it's after the move d4. You don't play d5 or knight f6, my two top recommendations. Instead, you play e5. It looks like a beginner chess move, but here's the reason. When the pawn gets captured, then black sort of pretends to go after this pawn by playing knight c6. Now, white should guard the pawn with knight f3. Totally fair play by white so far, trying to keep your extra pawn. So black plays queen e7. Again, it kind of looks like black is trying to get the pawn back with two attackers and one defender. And here is what black is hoping for. Black is hoping that white plays the most natural move. After all, that is one of the ways that gambits often work, is you hope your opponent plays the move that falls right into the trap. And if that move is the obvious move, hey, even better, because your opponent might play it more often. So what's the obvious way of defending this pawn? By getting a new piece out. The problem is when you play bishop to f4, which is the most natural way, you weaken the b2 pawn, and because the queen snuck out to e7, she's a tricky one here, and she plays the move queen to b4 check, and now white has big trouble. The king is in danger, the bishop's in danger, and the pawn is in danger. And here are a couple of scenarios that I've seen play out far too many times. Let's pretend that white plays queen to d2, stopping the check and guarding the bishop. Of course, black goes on to the tertiary plan of capturing this one, and now the rook is in danger. Truth be told, white is already lost, but if white tries queen c3, which is an x-ray defense of the rook, the queen is traveling through the black queen to defend the rook. Now we have a cross pin counter x-ray. I don't really know what we call it, but with the white queen and king on the same diagonal, bishop to b4 is the brilliant way of defending the black queen. Obviously the queen can't take, my computer won't even let me, because that would be check to the king, and now white is totally lost. White is losing an entire queen. You might think, well, hey, can white at least fight on with the move bishop d2? Well, not really, because when I take your queen and you take back to get another x-ray, well, too many x-rays are not good for you. Queen to c1 would be checkmate. If we go back, there was another thing that white could have done after queen to b4. White could have blocked with the bishop. However, basically the same thing happens. The queen takes the pawn, attacking the rook, and when the bishop goes to the square c3, black plays the exact same move, bishop to b4, pinning this bishop. Now, if the bishop takes, we would then be able to take the rook, or an even better move is actually to take the bishop, because now the rook is still in danger, and knight takes c2 is the real deal. That's going to fork the king and the rook. There are too many problems for white. So after bishop b4, white could try queen d2, but stop me if you've heard this one before. Bishop takes, queen takes, and then queen c1 is still checkmate. Now, if we go back, if you made a mistake and you got this far in a chess game and you allowed the move queen to b4 check, you actually could still survive by blocking with the bishop, and then after takes, playing the move knight c3. However, you've got to play some pretty careful defense. If I play a move like knight to b4, you kind of have to find this weird defense knight to d4 to guard the pawn. So that is one way of stopping this gambit, but I want to give you a better way. I don't want you to even have the chance of falling into any of these tricks. So we're going to go all the way back to the very first move. First of all, take that pawn, do it. And after knight c6, you should still play knight f3. And after queen e7, in this position, you should try to guard your pawn, just don't do it with the bishop. Don't weaken the b2 pawn. In fact, there's nothing wrong with bringing your own queen out with the move queen to d5. Yeah, I know. I know what you're thinking. White has developed the queen early, but first of all, black has already done the same, and also, quite importantly, black doesn't really have a real way of going after the queen because the knight cannot go to its natural square thanks to our extra pawn. Now I guess black could play a move like knight to b4 to fork your queen and your pawn. The problem is now the knight is no longer attacking the e pawn, so your queen can just run away. Let's just pick a square like d2 or even b3 is fine. That guards the c2 pawn. You're going to play the no parking sign. Then you actually can play bishop to f4 because there's not going to be any queen b4 tricks with your queen already guarding that square. So white is already up a pawn on move 5. Black does not have compensation, and this is how you defeat the Englund Gambit. So kids, you can roll the dice and play it as black, but I've just taught your opponents how to stop it, so it's up to you. But I think I'd play double queen pawn or something a little bit more solid.